Hello, boys and girls. This is a really sweet book called You Are Mine. It's by Max Lucado. You see that little guy there holding a box and a ball? His name is Punchinello. He learns a very important lesson in this book. Punchinello lived in Wemmixville. Just like all the other Wemmicks, he was made of wood and had been carved by Eli, the Wemmick maker. Sometimes the Wemmicks did silly things, like the time they collected boxes and balls. Things started getting crazy when a Wemmick named Tuck bought a new box. Others had boxes, but Tuck's was new. Tuck loved his box. It was brightly colored, and he was proud of it. He strutted up and down the street showing off his box. "Have you seen my new box?" he would ask the Wemmicks he passed. "Would you like to touch it?" Tuck found Punchinello. "Don't you wish you had a new box?" he teased. Punchinello thought Tuck's box was beautiful, and he wished for a box of his own. Soon Tuck began to think he was better than other Wemmicks because he had a new box. Nip disagreed. "My box is as good as Tuck's," he said, showing off his box on the other side of the street. Tuck gave Nip a mad look. Then he had an idea. He stepped into a store and bought a ball. Now he had more things than Nip, a box and a ball. Nip frowned at Tuck's ball and then bought two balls. He boasted to Tuck, "I have more than you." Before he knew it, Tuck was buying another box. And then Nip bought another ball. And then Tuck bought a ball, and Nip bought a box. Ball, box, Tuck, Nip, Nip, Tuck, on and on it went. The mayor tried to stop the whole mess. "You two are being silly," he said to Nip and Tuck. "Why, who cares who has the most toys?" "You're just jealous," they replied, "because you don't have any." "Jealous? Of you? Ha!" But soon the mayor was in the store buying boxes and balls. Well, other Wemmicks began to join in, and the baker and the butcher and the doctor, the dentist. Before long, everyone wanted to own the most balls and boxes, but boxes were big. Some were bright, some boxes were heavy, and some were light. Tall people carried them, small people carried them. Everybody carried them, and everybody thought, they thought good Wemmicks have a lot. Not so good Wemmicks have little, they thought. When a Wemmick walked down the street with a stack of balls and boxes higher than his head, the people stopped. "Now there goes a good Wemmick," they would say. But when a Wemmick passed by with only one ball and box, the others would whisper, "Poor, poor little Wemmick. He only has a few boxes and balls," they would say. Well, of course, Punchinello didn't want to be called a poor Wemmick. He searched through his closet and found one little ball. He dug into his pocket and found enough money for one small box. "I know what I'll do," he declared. "I'll sell my books to get money to buy more boxes and balls." So he bought a blue and a green box with clouds painted on the side, but still he wanted more. He worked nights for extra money and bought a ball, and since he was working nights, he didn't use his bed. He sold it. He sold his bed and bought two more balls. Soon Punchinello had an armful, but other Wemmicks had more still. Well, Some of them carried so many boxes and balls they had trouble walking. Punchinello wanted to be like these Wemmicks, so he sold more stuff and he worked more hours. His eyes were tired from not getting any sleep. His arms were tired from carrying toys. And worst of all, his friends couldn't remember when Punchinello last came to play. "We haven't seen you lately," Lucia said. "Why don't you come and play?" asked his friend Splint. Not everyone cared about boxes and balls. Punchinello's friends didn't. But Punchinello told his friends, "I've got work to do." His friends sighed, but Punchinello only cared what the other box and ball people thought. So he got a new idea. "I'll sell my house," he says. "That's crazy," cried Lucia. "Where will you live?" asked Splint. But all Punchinello could think about was the toys he could buy with all that money. So he sold his house. He bought boxes and boxes and balls and more balls. He carried so many toys he couldn't see where he was going. His stack went way above his head, but he didn't mind. So what if his arms ached? So what if he kept walking into walls? So what if he had no friends? He had boxes and balls. And when he passed Wemmicks, they would turn and say, "Wow, he must be a good Wemmick." Punchinello felt great. "I'm a good Wemmick," he thought. But then the mayor's wife changed the rules. She was very proud of her boxes and balls. She not only had a lot, but she also had special kinds. She bought them at the fanciest stores with funny names and left the names on the boxes so everyone would see them. She wanted to be the best Wemmick. One day she had an idea. "Not only will I have the most, but I will go the highest." So she climbed on top of one of her boxes and shouted, "Look at me, everybody! Look at me!" Immediately, all of the box and ball people tried to outdo her. One climbed on a fountain, another on a balcony, and then another on a roof. It was the mayor who spotted the mountain, however. Look at that, everyone's coming. Oh my goodness, everyone's going up the mountain. Oh my goodness, with all of those boxes and balls. Behind the village stood Wemmick's Peak. "I'm going to the top of the mountain," the mayor shouted. The race was on. Wemmicks loaded with boxes and balls began running up the mountain. It was a crazy race since the people couldn't see where they were going. They bumped into each other. Exhausted, they fell over their own feet. Some fell off of the trail, but the rest kept going up, up, up the mountain. Oh, Punchinello was right after them. He'd only been a good Wemmick for a short time, but he wasn't used to carrying so much. But since he couldn't see, he didn't know that he had left a trail suddenly. He was alone. All alone. "I'm ahead of the others," he thought. "I'll be the highest with the most." Look at them traveling up. Look at those guys falling down. Oh no, they couldn't even make it all the way up there with all of that stuff. My goodness. Well, about that time, Punchinello's foot caught the edge of the porch step. He tried to keep his balance. His toys swayed to the right and then to the left. He leaned back and then forward and then trampled over through the door of Eli's workshop. When Punchinello realized where he was embarrassed. For a long time he stayed face down on the floor. One of the balls rolled across the floor, and one of the balls rolled across to Eli's workbench. The woodcarver turned around. "Punchinello?" Eli's voice was calm and kind. The Wemmick could feel his face turn red. "Looks like you've been carrying a big load." Punchinello rose to his knees, his head low. These are my boxes and balls," he said. "Do you play with these boxes and balls?" asked Eli. Punchinello shook his head. "Do you like these boxes and balls?" "I like the way they make me feel." "And how do they make you feel?" "Important," Punchinello answered, still with a small voice. Eli observed. "So you've been thinking like the other Wemmicks, that the more you have, the better you are, and the happier you'll be." "I suppose so. Come here, Punchinello. I want to show you something." Punchinello looked up at Eli for the first time. He was glad that the Wemmick maker wasn't mad. Punchinello followed Eli to the window. "Look at them," Eli said. Punchinello saw the Wemmicks climbing the mountain. They were tumbling and stumbling and fighting each other to get ahead. "Do they look happy?" Eli asked. Punchinello just shook his head. "Do they look important?" Eli asked. "Not at all," Punchinello said. Seeing the mayor and his wife, and the mayor was on the ground, and she was stepping on his back, and she had boxes over her head, and he had balls all over his mouth, and "Did I create them to act like that?" asked Eli. "No," says Punchinello. Punchinello felt a big hand on his shoulder. "Do you know how much your boxes and balls cost you?" "My books and my bed, my money and my house, my little friend. They cost you much more than that. They cost you happiness, didn't they?" Punchinello paused. "Yes." "They cost you friends? What worse? Much worse. You did not trust me to make you happy. You trusted in the toys." Punchinello looked at his toys. Suddenly they didn't seem so valuable. "I kind of messed up," Punchinello said. "That's okay. You're still special." Punchinello ducked his head and he smiled. You're special, not for what you have, but for who you are," Eli told Punchinello. "You are mine. I love you. Don't forget that." "Well," he says, "I won't." Punchinello smiled. "Eli?" "Yes?" "What should I do with these boxes and balls?" "Perhaps you should give them to someone who really needs them." Punchinello turned to leave, but stopped. "Eli?" "Yes?" "I don't have a place to sleep." Eli smiled and offered, "Would you like to sleep here tonight?" "I sure would. I'm very tired." And so that night, Punchinello slept on a bed of straw. He slept well. It felt good to be in the house of his maker. Isn't that a sweet story, friends? Eli had to remind Punchinello, "You are special, you are loved, and you are mine. You don't need to have all those boxes and balls to feel important. You're already important." I hope you guys enjoyed that story. Love you. Bye-bye.